Hello, my name is Dr. Ethel Iranbon, and today we are looking at the third chapter, and that's the third lecture. And the title is Theoretical Perspective of Technology. So, in the first lecture, we did look at some historical definitions of technology and sociology. And we ended with the fact that technology cannot be explained as a single as a material artifact, but it needs to be put in a certain general context. And in the second lecture, we did also look at the theoretical, historical review of how technology has evolved over time in its relationship with society. And so today we are looking at some theories, theoretical perspectives as long as technology and its relationship with society is concerned. So the objectives of today's class has to do with addressing the fundamental difference um, between utopian and dystopian views of technology, and to compare and critically examine a wide range of theories on the complex interrelationship between society and technology. The third objective is to learn about the field of science and technology, that is STS, and its unique socio-technical perspective. The last objective will be to analyze how video games are developed for children and what understandings of play influence their design. Now, the plurality of perspectives, as you see even in the topic, tells you that there is no single approach that adequately describes the complex interrelationship between technology and society. There are divergent perspectives and arguments um, as to the different aspects of technology and society, and those um, are utopians and dystopians. And basically, the utopians believe that um, technology has basically positive effects on society, whereas dystopians believe that technology has purely negative effects on society. But you can assess that for yourself. So for every all the positive that you can think of technology over society, you would see that utopians will have their arguments based on the fact that technology rather promotes our dominance in society. And there have also been discussions on whether technology determines society or society determines technology. That is it is debate that is also going on, but it is difficult to really determine a linear relationship or a single linear relationship. It could be more complex. Some earlier theoretical perspective represents simplistic views of this intersection. Okay, so some would just say that technology determines society based on what they believe in, and also others would think otherwise. And simply put it so, but there are more complex perspectives in this, and more, recent perspectives have shown more light on these relationships in a more complex way. So the Ethiopians, like I said, they embrace technology as a new means of achieving progress and efficiency. Okay, technology allows us to dominate and manage nature, leading to advancements in how we produce material goods. Okay, just like um, in a class I just had, most of you believe that technology is more of a positive and a progressive agent than negative. So according to Street, who is more of a dystopian, he believes that technology is a threat to established ways of life and is thus seen as regressive force. Okay, so it's also an opinion that we can respect, because we all know that when technology comes into a society or a system, it actually disturbs the society, it disturbs the organization, it disturbs the setup, it changes things. The way you used to do things changes as to whether it is a means of achieving progress and efficiency or not. That's where dystopians will disagree. So they say that it does not help society move forward. An example is destructive in class, according to Campbell 2007. Okay, so when you have a class going on where students are distracted by their phones and all of that, that is example that they gave to why they think that technology threatens established ways of life. Now, theories of technology and society, according to Fenwick's categorization, one of such categorizations is where it's seen as neutral. Technology is seen as neutral versus where it is seen as value-laden. Now, the neutrality of technology is seen in how technology is separate from human activity with no effect on natural ends. Okay, so an example is ethics, morality, and forgiveness, etc. And they say that it hinders any in-depth analysis of social change if technology merely fulfills nature's mandates. Okay, so that's the critic of technology seen as neutral. They say that, so if you think that technology just acts on its own and is not affected by human activity, then how do we actually effectively discuss the issue of change, social change, removing technology from the picture? Okay, and so the use of social media platforms to discuss moral and ethical dilemmas, informing and mobilizing social change, etc. Okay, so how do we talk about where people use media platforms or social media to talk about changing society? In that case, are you removing technology? Are you separating technology in that sense? So an example is when you look at chapter 3, page 50 of Kwan Hayes' sociological technology and society, you would see that there is a case study. There's a case study. It's actually on page 46, and it talks about technology neutrality, or is technology neutral? $50, not 50 shillings. Okay, and so in this particular case study, it is talking about how a movie titled 50 Shades of Grey, when it popped up, and how some groups decided to use Twitter and Facebook to campaign against that movie. And so they put up hashtags on Twitter and Facebook saying that instead of going to watch that movie, you should donate $50 to their organizations so that they can use it to promote more better social changes, like supporting abused women and all of that. And so this is a clear case of how what technology cannot be said to be neutral, because in this case, technology plays a role in coming up with a change. And so the other value-laden view of technology tends to equate technological development with human progress. So they are saying that here we cannot exactly say that technology is neutral, in the sense that when we achieve some height or progress, it is described as we humans. For instance, when we landed on the moon, we said that we humans landed on the moon. We didn't say that technology had landed on the moon. We said we, and so it as though we begin to see technology and ourselves as one, or we as technology. Theories of technology and society. The second categorization by Fenbeck is the autonomous versus the human controlled. And here, autonomous technology theories would argue that humans have little choice in deciding how the technology will evolve and diffuse in society. So here they think that human beings have little control over technology the moment it comes up. How it will be used and to what extent and what effect it will have is something that they're saying society has little control over. Human control theories posit that technology is controlled by humans and that it is a socially constructed entity whose meaning and use is determined by human action. So this is like a very opposite of autonomous. And here they are saying that humans have total control over the use of technologies and the meanings that are associated with it. And so some theories of technology and society intersection. Okay, we have determinism, instrumentalism, substantivism, and critical theory. These are theories that look at how the intersection of technology and society can be looked at. And so determinism, this has two opposing theoretical views. One is what? Technological determinism. And here they propose that technology is the driving force in developing the structure of society and culture. So in other words, it is technology that determines what culture we have, or it is based on the technologies that are existent in a society that its culture and way of doing things are formed. So this adheres to the notion that technology directs and shapes social interaction. So it is the technologies that are available to us that would determine the way we even interact socially. The uses of technology are directed by the design of technology itself. So I think that the previous point on interactions is, can be seen in our very current situation where, because of coronavirus, we are interacting based on the kind of technologies available. And what are these technologies? A technology that makes it possible for us to have a remote class. It used not to be so. And so because it is technology that determines that, this is what one that can throw more light on this particular point. Now, the second opposing view, is that social determinism. And these see factors in society as creating specific uses of technology. So they are saying that it is the norms and attitudes or culture or the practices available, or even the religious beliefs in a particular society that determines how technology is used. Okay, so very opposite to the technological determinism. And so use of media and communication in the breakup of a relationship. Okay, norms around communication impact young people's perception of media adequacy. All right, so they think that it is the kind of norms that are existent that have created an avenue where people or young people today can decide that breaking up can be done on social media. You can just pick your WhatsApp and say it's over and that's it. Unlike before, when there was a culture or a norm of we have to meet. Okay, you always had to meet your girlfriend somewhere to have whatever conversation. There were not even phones to do that, much less social media platforms. And so they are saying that it is because of the availability of this that has created the use of technology in that sense. So you can think through that yourself and find out whether this is what is actually happening in our society. Another major theory is instrumentalism. And instrumentalism analyzes technology as a neutral tool or instrument whose purpose is to fulfill the user's specific task. So here they are saying it is what the user wants to use it for that it uses it for. So it's as though technology is just a tool. It's just there. It comes with no purpose until the user attaches a purpose to it. Okay, so this can also be debated. It's very debatable. That's why it's a theory that is being debated. And so the group of thought, this is what they think about. Substantivism, and here they argue that technology brings forth new social, political, and cultural systems, which then structures and controls it. Technologies operate under their own inherent logic and goals. So they say that for them, they think that technology comes in, it creates, in fact, it comes with its own logic. It comes with its own, let's say, aim. It comes with an agenda. Okay, so when you create, let's say, we talked about what mass media in some lectures, and the fact that the mass media helps you to promote or to send your message on a wider, or communicate your message on a wider platform. And so it helps you to even transport culture across barriers of ethical barriers and all of that. And so here it says that the fact that mass media comes with the intention to give a bigger platform to people, that in itself is what creates the use of it. Okay, so technology can be used for either liberating or destructive means according to the nature of the technology. So here emphasis is on the nature of the technology. It's like the mindset, as though technology, if technology was a person, the fact that it came or comes with a certain motive, okay, if we can say it so, with a certain motive, it is what determines what it will be used for. So if it comes with a destructive motive, it will be used for destructive purposes. And this argument actually came about during the World War II, when atomic bomb made it possible for mass destruction to be real. So they thought that, of course, if you made a bomb, why did you make the bomb? It wasn't to kill mosquitoes, of course, because you made it to have a capacity to kill everyone, and that is what it will be used for. You will not use it to scare away people. You want to destroy. That's the nature of technology, predetermines how the technology will be utilized and its subsequent impact on society. So what do you think? It's very arguable. What do you think? Now, the fourth one is critical theory. And they think that technology is the product of both technical and social factors. They do not believe on one-sided. All the other three are taking sides, either this or that. Here, they think that both play a role. Technology is not viewed as a symbol of linear progress, rather as an element capable of adopting different possibilities and directions depending on the social influences and values of its users. So depending on where you are coming from, you will use a particular technology for a different reason. In fact, sometimes you can be more creative with it because we can do appropriate technology where we want to do something, and based on where we are coming from, we might pick this, combine other things, and come out with something new of it. And so it says that when governed by a technocracy, for instance, technology will embody values, social structures, and goals of hegemonic elites. So if it is in the hands of a technocrat, the person might want to use it for, getting amassing more power to himself. But the same tool or the same technology can also be used towards democratic aims instead of technocratic interests, reflecting the values of social system that makes use of the tool. So if it's in the hands of a destructive person, it will use it for destructive purposes. If it's in the hands of what? A democratic or more formative person, will use it for that purpose. And you can see this in the simple use of even a knife. Okay, if the knife is in the hands of a bad person, that's why if you have a friend who is known to be very, who has been a killer before, of course, not your friend, any person, and you find him holding a knife, you're going to be very, very scared because you believe that that person can use it to kill you. If you find this in the hands of your sweet mom at home, you know that mommy is definitely going to cut bread, maybe, or cut some tomatoes and make some salad. Okay, so it depends on the person who is holding it. That's what this critical theory says. That sorry. So this is a chart that gives you sort of a summary of how all of these theories and categorizations fall together. So we realize that there are overlaps. There are overlaps of these categorizations, and autonomous and human controlled, and the fact that you can see that determinists and substantivists will fall under autonomous. And then you have instrumentalism and critical theories falling under human control, okay, where they believe that human beings are the ones that control the use of technology. The same with neutral and value-laden. Autonomous and human control are more in line with the neutral, okay, and also value-laden and all of that. So this gives you some sort of a summary of these views. And also this shows how technology affects social change. Okay, technology affecting society and society affecting technology, and then both affecting each other and all of that. So you see how, all of that plays out. Science and technology studies is an interdisciplinary field that studies how scientific and technological changes intersect with society. And here they confront two major challenges. They aim to conduct meaningful research at the micro and macro levels, and also it does not embrace a fully utopian or nor dystopian perspective of technology. So they would look at it in perspective of the particular society that they are looking at it. This is more of a scientific one. It's not just having an opinion, but having a more scientific research into what these mean in the particular societies or communities that they look at it from. Science and technology studies can be described as one that rejects the notion of technological determinism, where technology is perceived as the agent of social, cultural, and political, and even economic change. They also do not agree, or they reject the notion of social determinism, where the interventor or a technology alone drives technological progress without any consideration of the social system in which an invention occurs. Further, society determines how a technology is used and the kinds of consequences it will have. It also has a holistic approach where it intends to study the entire social technical system and not the social, political, cultural, and economic dimensions separately. It will look at all of these together. And also it employs qualitative methods. That means that it would use methods such as case studies and ethnographies to provide an in-depth examination of socio-technical systems that generate rich descriptions. Okay, so these are usually methods that require that the researcher will actually even be in the particular society instead of looking at the society from afar. They spend more time and they critically examine these societies as they are, as they have experienced themselves. So the researcher is able to actually take part in how that particular society uses or experiences technology and describes it in that manner or in that context. Now, social construction of technology is one of the aspects of STS, and here they advocate they do not see technology as shaping human action, but instead see human action as shaping technology. They argue that new technologies emerge and gather meaning through social norms. So this is another school of thought from their studies. They think that there is technology emerges and gathers meaning through social norms, and that a technological object can acquire different uses and values according to the social context in which it is placed. So depending on where you put it, it's going to attract different meanings or uses assigned to it. Example, video games for kids to spend their downtime versus video games being used by a single father as a babysitter. Okay, so here there are two scenarios where you can have a parent or parents. So if you have people who live together, you're living with their parents, the kids can have a different viewpoint or a different use of video games will be assigned to it. They will only use it as just when they need to have some leisure, and not as something that a single father, for instance, would want to give it to their children just to keep them, just so that they will be at one place, since they do not have the time to check them all the time. So the video game is going to engage them as though it was their babysitter. So in this case, you'll find that depending on who is having the gadgets, the use of it is different. The use assigned to it is different. Whether it becomes destructive or beneficial depends on how these two different categories of users see it. So social construction of technology is employed to help us better understand technical change and the design of tools, and then technological societal relationships. And so we have key concepts of SCOT, and these are four of them: relevant social groups, interpretive flexibility, closure and stabilization, and then wider context. Now, for relevant social groups, these are groups that are important due to their influence in attributing meaning to the artifact. Okay, so individuals can attribute meanings, but when it becomes a group, those meanings become much stronger and binding. So meaning is obtained through interacting with like-minded social groups who share a similar opinion about the artifact and its uses. So I've given an example of if you give a phone to my mom, my grandmother in the village, because of where she finds herself, the social group she finds herself in, her use or her um, interaction with the phone is going to be limited to the meaning that her social group has assigned to it, which will be just to pick a phone call when you call her. She might not even use it to text because she doesn't have a social group that has taught her to use it in that manner. Meanwhile, if you come or if the same grandma of mine came to the setting, she might use a phone. She might begin to use a phone for more than just to receive a call because she might be affected by a relevant social group that has assigned different meanings to it. So she might use it for now making text messages and to WhatsApp, okay, maybe make video, audio recordings if she cannot type. So she begins to see it as more than just to pick a phone, a call phone, and you would assign more to it. Just like you, if you are from your village and you came to GTUC, you would begin to to get to Accra, and you were influenced by the relevant social group. You are going to assign meanings determined by the social group to that particular technology. So the study by Grimes attempts to examine how the world of video games can be used as a heavily negotiated terrain of activity. In this case study, the relevant social group is children as users and consumers. So when you look at children as consumers, okay, there is a particular social relevance that is assigned to video games because they are children. Okay, so the player, for instance, there are four themes. One is the fact that it is easily amused. Okay, so because they have given it limited opportunities, or the children limited opportunities for interaction, customization, and communication. So they tend to be very amused at that particular gadget or video game and that is the essence of it. The designer wants to achieve that because of the kind of social group he's targeting. There's also risk, and most of the games contained in video games for children are more of safety driven. Many safety features are put in place to restrict the content that children could see and to limit their interactions with other players. Often, it is a predefined list of terms provided by the game to limit interaction to these terms. And this greatly restricts communication between players and players' ability to verbalize their thoughts and experiences. And this is also restricted to the fact that they are children. And so that they are not put at risk in any way. Nice player is also another theme. And this is to make the children idealize rules around appropriate behavior. They need them to be able to have this view of how they should behave properly or appropriately. And that is why they have that feature of a nice player. Consumer provision of some kind of currency that allows players to purchase virtual items. So you have games that actually gave children the opportunity to play out buying and yeah, purchasing goods, and that is also intentional. Usually, you have the designers of video games for this particular relevant social group struggling between a need to design creative, imaginative, and fun games against the need to provide a safe, kind, oriented, and more pro learning environment for kids. Mostly fun things do not really teach you much, but then they would have to play around with these options at each point in time. And so, do you think that video game designers experience a different struggle when creating games for mature users? Because that becomes a different relevant social group. Do you think that they would have the same struggle? Now we have the interpretive flexibility, and these have the notion that artifacts are not neutral, but instead their meaning emerges in a social cultural context. And flexibility exists not only in how people think or interpret artifacts, but also that there is a flexibility in how artifacts are designed. A simple tool can be used for multiple purposes, and its meaning and relevance emerges in a social cultural context. Okay, so according to Pinch and Bixler, they think that there is a flexibility in how artifacts are interpreted. Okay, then closure and stabilization. These hold the notion that as artifacts gain prominence in society, its flexibility to be interpreted for other uses decreases because the social construction of the artifact meaning becomes embedded in society. So when it is prominent, you would realize that it is its use or definition of use of the kind of use of it begins to narrow down to something specific because then the meaning gets embedded in that society. So it depends on the particular society. And they say that closure describes the moment at which the relevant social group has reached a consensus on what the tool is all about. So this is all about the relevant social group. So if it's a child, they get to a point and they begin to reach a consensus. As kids would say, dolls will be used for a certain thing and all of that. And then stabilization occurs when the tool has been assigned a very specific use. So it gets to the point they say, this is what this is used for, because that's what they have arrived at. There's also the rhetorical closure and closure by redefinition. So when a technological problem is not solved, but a solution is presented by changing the language used to describe the problem and hence modifying its social meaning, that is new rhetoric about safety introduced. So probably there's a safety issue with a particular technology, and instead of changing it, they decide to redefine it, okay, and give it a different name, describe the problem in a way that changes the meaning of it. In that case, that is what a rhetoric or change. There is a rhetoric closure instead of changing it by defining it. Enclosure by redefinition of the problem. Every technical problem is not solved, but rather the problem is formulated in different terms. So you just rename the problem and you would have changed it. So another viewpoint is the wider context. And here again by Pinch and Bischka, he describes how sociocultural and political situations of a social group shape its norms and values, which in turn influence the meaning given to an artifact or a technology. So, in this perspective, norms and values are powerful frameworks for interpreting artifacts, for understanding their value to society. When it means that in this case, a particular society would look at um, the value of a technology from the viewpoint of their norms and their cultures, what they believe in, what they have established over the years is what would tell how they will value that particular technology. And an example is the reproductive technology of what birth control. And here, if you send a birth control technique to a village, my village, for instance, you're going to have a lot of people not buying into it. You're going to have more difficulty convincing them to adopt such technologies because of their norms. These are people that believe that God has put in whatever God has put in your womb. As a woman, you need to give birth to them. I remember how my auntie almost collapsed when I said, I just want to have 2 kids. It's like, what? Why? It was like I needed some, spiritual intervention to get me to change my mind about that. Okay. And so it is the kind of culture that they come from that makes them see these technologies in these lights. Then there is the actor network theory. And this theory views everything in the world as a continuously generated effect of the webs of relations within which they are located. So they think that we cannot look at these technologies outside the relations or the networks that they are created in. A strength of this theory is in its ability to examine the active process and the interconnected relationship between human and non-human actors. This is something that is not possible in many other technological theories, where you're looking at not just the human, but also the non-human actors, a relationship between them, the human and the non-human actors. Within the actor network theory, actors or act ones can emerge in a variety of forms, ranging from human beings to concepts or ideas, technologies, institutions, and so on. Okay, so here it's not limited to just an artifact, but ideas, the institution, and so on. So rather than focusing on the reasoning as to why relationships between actors occur, the theory examines how these relationships are contracted or constructed and practiced. So it's like the entire system, how it came about to be where it is all part of it. And that is quite deep. And so, in conclusion, we've been looking at the fact that simple approaches to the understanding of the interrelationship between technology and society have been largely refuted. You cannot just look at it so simply. It is a complex relationship. Current perspectives on technological society focus on a mutual shaping process. It is, we cannot just look at it in one side. It is mutual. You shape me, I shape you. That is more of how the relationship between technology and society looks like. And also that technology is not necessarily to be studied as a universal force, but rather technology is examined with unique social context. Okay, not just viewed as a universal force, but we need to look at it in local context. So you cannot look at sociology or a technology and say that this is the use of it, as though when you go to my village, that's how it's used for, or so different contexts of society would use it differently. And so we need to look at it from that direction also. And that technologies become even more ingrained in our daily lives. Continued critical, in-depth, and contextualized analysis of other technological society will be very imperative. It is important that we look at how these technologies are, they continuously, become very special to special societies. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.